let's go.
Hi, Kat Chancellor here with Stamp Art Connection and stampartconnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and the project that I have is a wonderful pop-up card using the Boardwalk Fun Bundle. Measures about 5 by 7. Here's the front, and you're going to pop it up, and it's going to have a Ferris wheel inside with some balloons. But the neat part about it is that I don't know if you can see that piece that kind of slides out. From this designer series paper, I used for a background and also for the front, as well as some special cutouts that come with it that can kind of cut out these fun shapes here, stamping the different sentiments. This little carousel is cut out from this sheet of paper, as is our little Ferris wheel, using the die that comes with the bundle. It also has dies for these palm trees, and then I use this piece of DSP here, which I just simply cut a piece for my background. And then again, some of these other pieces I fussy cut, such as the balloons and the little cotton candy cart right there. And it all goes onto a mechanism that just kind of folds out. And we're going to build the mechanism in the back that's going to show how this is going to slide. So it can stand on its own just like that on a dresser, desk, or mantle. You may recall wanted to say dies. These are retired, but again, go to your stash, see what you've got. And this one had happy birthday. There's also a celebrate as well. Now I just want to point out some features. I cut out the Ferris wheel from this paper, and then the dies have these little baskets that go on the Ferris wheel. Well, I cut those out and just cut out some other pieces from the dies to kind of give it a little bit more glimmer. Fussy cut the little cotton candy, and I used some of my rock candy from Ranger Distress crystal clear glitter just to kind of give them a little bit of fun. And you can see over here where I kind of have a little bit of the shiny. That is from my glossy accents that I use. That's also from Ranger, just to give it a little bit of additional kind of fun. And I did cut out some extra pieces. As you can see, I kind of laid them on top of each other just to kind of give it just a little bit more dimension. And I used these little tickets that were in the DSP as well to anchor my balloon bunch. I did use some of the cutout tickets for my happy birthday sentiment, and then I'm going to put something here for my recipient. Now I did embellish this with some of the, I believe it's some of the loose shaker elements. It's got some really pretty little stars that I just kind of added there, and you can see these little pom-poms. This is a retired piece that I had in my craft room, assorted pom-poms, I guess several years ago, but I just thought that was kind of a little fun piece to add. So again, go to your stash, see what you've got, and embellish as you will. Now, you will need for this card definitely some kind of dies if you want to have some word dies. You will need the bundle or the suite for the Boardwalk Fun, and it will include this die set here, and these are the dies that I'm going to use to cut out my Ferris wheel. It matches perfectly, so you can cut that out. It has some additional dies here for the little baskets, so I'm going to pull in my muffin tin to show you what I've been cutting for our card that we're going to do. I used this wanted to say dies where I cut out a background using some iridescent cardstock. I'm going to put the Celebrate on top of that. You can see I've done the same thing with a couple of other pieces that I've kind of put here in my muffin tin. These are all the Ferris wheel cars. You can see that I've cut out a bunch of those in some iridescent cardstock, as well as some stars and other pieces and parts I'm going to use to embellish. I've cut out the little cotton candy stand. I've got a piece that was just on the edge of the DSP. I'm going to cut out those pieces of cotton candy and layer them and then add some of that glitter on top of it. Here's a piece that I've already cut using my die from this DSP, but I'm going to layer it and glue it behind another piece of basic white cardstock so it just has a little bit more stiffness. Again, I cut out several of these tickets and arrows that I can use for various layering or for sentiments. I've cut out the little balloon. I have this little piece, again, it was kind of on the edge of the DSP, so I'm going to cut out some pieces that I want to layer there, as well as these pieces that I'm going to kind of use to stand up my balloon embellishment on my card. These are the dies that cut those little cars for the Ferris wheel. There's my Ferris wheel, there's that die. And I just wanted to show you that I did fussy cut this wonderful little carousel, and I did cut another piece here so that I can kind of add that as a layer for that. Those are all the embellishment pieces that you need to have at the ready to cut out using your dies. And I'll show you some of the other dies. Here's the little ticket die. That die is the die I used for my sentiment piece down here. You have these palm trees, some really pretty kind of extra dies that are good for embellishments. Here's my cars, and I think that's pretty much all I'm using. Now I'm just going to put this here and talk about the pieces and parts that you need. This is 11 by 5 and it's scored at 5.5. We're going to create those little steps that are going to create our mechanism for a pop-up. You will need a piece that measures 5 by 7, then you can layer it. This is the front of the card. Then behind it is going to be the mechanism that's going to come out, and this is 7.5 by 3, and then you're going to score it at half and you're going to attach it to the back of the front of the card. Then this will attach. I'm going to move this out. This attaches here like this, and when this attaches and it opens, this is what's going to slide out. That's your mechanism. And then this little piece here, which is, I have it 6 by 2, but actually I think I'm scoring 6 by 3. This will come here and attach so that this back piece can slide out. So these are the pieces and parts. So for the front, I cut a piece of bubble bath. This was 5 by 7, and then I cut a piece of basic white, 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and then this is 6.5 by 4.5, and that will create my layer for the front of my card. And I've also cut out my piece here, which is 7.5, and this is my back mechanism that will go on the back of that card. So those are those pieces, and I have one more piece to cut out. I then have this piece cut out, which we will then do our scoring in order to cut out our steps. And for the inside, I'm just taking a piece of, and it's just a large sheet, right? This is 12, this is 6, I cut it in half. I'm just taking a portion of that, and I'm taking about 5 1/4 by 4. So this is 5 1/4 by 4, and this is going to go right there, and we're going to cut it so that it kind of goes over these pieces. I will more than likely use, I have another piece of this cardstock that I could use for the bottom, or I could use another piece from the Beach Time two-tone cardstock. I'm going to use a couple strips of cardstock because this shows all the various lines for the scoring, and I want to hide those. Okay, I'm going to score this at 5 1/2. Here's, I have my 5 by 11, and I've scored it here at 5 1/2. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to bring in my T-score, and I'm going to mark it. And so I'm going to mark it at 1, 1 1/2, 3 1/2, and 4. I've got my top line and a bottom line. It's really faint, but it's there. So now I'm going to put this on my scoreboard. And I am now going to score. Here's my, these are the measurements I used for my top. Here are my measurements for my side. So this is going to be 3 1/2, and the 3 1/2 is going to go between these two lines here. So I'm going to do 3 1/2, and then it will be 4 1/4, and it's going to be between those top line to the bottom line. Then it's going to be another, it's going to be 5, but it's going to be between these two bottom lines, right? Then I've got this center line. Then 6 is going to be another one between these two lines. 6 3/4 is going to be between top line down to the bottom line, and then 7 1/2 is going to be the center two lines. So you can kind of see what I've created there. Okay, where I've kind of looks like it's small, tall, small, center, small, tall, small. Okay, because our cut lines are going to go here and here. So let's go ahead and put this aside and have my cutting mat here. I'm going to grab my cutting mat. And I am going to cut. And it helps me to just kind of pull in a little bit. I like to just kind of put just a little nicks here where I need to cut too. Okay, so that I don't, and you just kind of see, I just kind of have those nicks there. So first one is going to be this one, from that nick to that nick, right along this line. I'm using a steel ruler so that I can ensure I get a nice, I can lean my knife against that, and I'm going to push, pull, and then stop. And if you get really a nice cut there. So I'm going to line those up. I'm going to push in, pull, stop, push in, pull, stop. Okay, so there's these two. And let's go in. There we go. See? That's those two lines. Okay. To turn this around, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mark my little tick marks here where I'm doing from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. I'm going to get rid of that so I don't get confused. Okay, so there are my steps. So now that I've done that, see, my little piece of tape held up very nicely right there. So now I've cut a piece that is 5 by 6, and I'm going to do the same thing with this piece. I'm going to turn this around, and I am going to measure 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 3.5 inch, and 4 inch. Okay, so now that we have those, now we're going to lay it like this. I am going to get a small scoreboard, and we are going to score this at, again, we're going to do the middle two, 3.5 at the middle two, 4.25 top to bottom, 5 at the middle two, and then 5.5 is our seam. Okay, and that is going to be our, we're going to put this like this. This is going to be our front. Then I'm going to take this piece and we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so let's cut this. From there to there. From there to there. Okay. So now we fold this like this, and this goes like this. Okay, so now this can go right like that. Like that. Okay, so that fits in there like that. Then this piece, which I'm now going to cut these lines, this piece is going to go here like that. So we're going to cut from there to there, from there to there, and then I'm going to cut from here to there. There. It's going to go here. And like that. And then we have to figure out how we're going to, I think we're probably going to put this one here, and then this one's going to go. See if I kind of figure out that. So that is how you cut your inside pieces for your pop-up card. I've done it half, and I've got some measurements for that, but I also wanted to do it whole so I can make a different version for you. This one seems to be a lot easier. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to start kind of assembling some of these pieces. And I think I want to do the bottom first. So I'm going to start with this piece here. Now, if I just do the top one like this, I'm thinking that it gives me, kind of gives me room for those to fold. See, it kind of gives me room for those to fold. So I'm not going to adhere this side here. I'm going to do the kind of like the horizontal. And then it folds nicely. Now that I glued those, I can go back this one glued, and I've got this one glued. And this is the one where I glued on the side. I don't like that because it buckled, but when I glue it on the top step, it comes out just fine. Okay, for these two, I'm going to grab some strips I have here, and we're just going to place those right there along that line there and there. Okay, I'm going to take this and we're going to cut out this, and I'm going to do that twice. Okay, so I have fussy cut some elements here, cotton candy stand, and balloons, tickets. I've used the die to cut out the Ferris wheels, and I've also cut out these little carousels. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glossy accents. Now what I did is I put a little bit of white cardstock on the back of the DSP to give it a little bit more strength. In some cases I put it on the back and then I cut out my shape. I'm going to use this glossy accents on my cotton candy, and I'm going to take some of the rock candy crystal clear glitter. I have a little spoon I'm going to use right here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to put glossy accents on my cotton candy. I'm going to add some glitter, and I kind of come up with that, so I'm going to set that to dry. Now for our carousel, I took some of the tops here, and I'm going to attach those just to kind of give it, right, I need 3 of them, just to give it a little bit more dimension, and I'm going to do that with a mini, just a little mini dimensional. That's a silver roof, and I have the pom-poms I'm going to put on it, but I want to do a couple of things. I could add some crystal effects to kind of make my horse kind of pop up, and I kind of did that here. So, but I'm going to start with some silver. I have some metallic enamel . Okay, so the stuff's dry for my little carousels. So I'm going to grab these little assorted pom-poms. These are pretty old, but I kind of have them in my stash, and I'm going to just grab some colors that I want. I might do orange, blue. And there's that one. So we'll put these aside because these are going to go on our front. Alright, so while those are drying, I'm going to look at the insides, and the first thing that I want to glue for our inside is, let me just open this up, is I want to glue my carousel. So here are my 3 carousels, and I think it's nice and stiff, and I think I want to glue it like right there on that, so it's right on that ledge. Okay, so I've picked my combinations of tickets and little arrows for my card fronts. And what I'm going to do is I have my stamps, my Versamark, and I just want to use my little embossing buddy, and I want to use a nice black. So I'm going to grab this ribbon and I'm going to cut this at 4 1/2. Okay, so let me bring in. I went ahead and glued the ribbon on DSP strips measuring about 4 1/2 inches, just to be able to kind of set them off a little bit, a little more contrast with the background. I then used dimensionals to adhere everything else for the front of my card. I used pieces from the loose shaker elements, which were kind of iridescent, to kind of set off the front of the carousel. Okay, now that we have gotten those done, we're going to attach the back mechanism to the back of our card. So we're going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 7.5 by 3. We're going to score a 1/2 inch. And we're going to put this in the back of this front card right here in the middle. So those are on the back. Now, these cards here, we're going to grab a piece of cardstock that's going to be 6, and we're going to score that a 1/2 inch on either side. So I have 3 pieces that are cut at 6, and then we're going to score this 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch there. Okay, and this, here's our card, and we're going to take this and we're going to put this on the back. I'm going to show you, here's the front, so this is attached to the back, so it's the bottom of this. So the bottom here, we're going to attach this piece right here. Okay, so there are my pieces. So now I'm going to take the top of my card, and I'm going to turn it upside down. So the top of my card, okay, here's my card. So this is how it opens. So I'm going to take the top of my card and I am going to connect it like this, so that when it opens, you can see that piece. So Okay, and this is glued. So now we're going to take this, we're going to slip that into there so that when this opens up, that comes out. Okay, these are these little tickets. And we're going to open this up. And this will go get glued right there. So there you have it, cards using the Boardwalk Fun set to create these wonderful pop-ups. Yeah, using you just see just how really lovely the birthday one. I mean, it's just really just lovely little cards right there. And to celebrate with, I just think that's just really, they are just the cutest things. The cotton candy, the balloons. We just added a lot of really, just some really neat features. And this will rest right there on the little ticket. You can just see how really pretty the little merry-go-round and everything turned out for this set. So thank you so much. If you haven't already, please hit like. All products are available on my online store. There will be a link. Go to my blog for the project details. If you're looking for a demo, please consider joining my team. You can consider joining as a hobbyist to enjoy a 20% discount on all of Stampin' Up! Products. And you get all of my PDFs for free, as well as access to my library. If you are a demo and like my content, please support my channel. It's free. All you have to do is hit like and consider sharing. And I love it when you leave a comment. This is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and stampartconnection.com. Happy stamping.